I'm Belinda Goodrich.
And I'm Brandy Bean.
And this is See How I Did That? We wanted to invite you behind the scenes on our very first episode to get to know a little bit more about us, our podcast, and why you should subscribe. So the first question is, why have a podcast?
Well, everyone has a podcast.
That is true. Everyone does have a podcast. What makes ours different? Well, Brandy and I often will have people come up to us, talk to us, and say, I am so motivated by you guys. I'm so inspired by you. How do you do what you do? And we think, I don't know. We just do it. We just get shit done. That's what we do, right? But what we've learned is that we actually have overcome a lot of challenges that helps other women. It inspires other women. Well, when we thought about that and put it in the context of all the amazing women we know in our network, we thought, wow, there are so many inspirational stories out there. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure our listeners understand that, number one, they're not alone, and number two, that you can overcome.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes when people come up to us and say, oh, I'm so inspired by something you did, we get confused because it may have been just a simple action that we took.
It's true.
But when somebody's stuck in a rut, that simple action could actually change the course of their life. So that's why I'm excited, because one, I'm learning from our guests that are on our show.
Definitely.
Plus, our viewers are going to learn from them as well as us.
Yeah, and that is so true. We have a lineup of incredible, inspirational people. And you know, all the stories may be different, but the underlying theme is the same. And it's really, you know, being able to really pull yourself back up and understand that you are loved and you are supported. So I'll start. I'll just talk a little bit about who I am so that our listeners know. I'm from Maine. I was born and raised in a small town in Maine, youngest of 3 children. I was always a pretty heads down hard worker. I've always loved to work. When I wasn't working, I was outside. I was in the woods. Loved being outside. I still love being outside. I love animals. I like animals more than people most of the time. I shouldn't say that, but I do. And then my plan was to be a forensic pathologist. I love the show Quincy, so that was where I was going. And instead of going to medical school, I ended up getting pregnant when I was a teenager. When I was 16, had her when I was 17. And, you know, that just made me double down, I guess, on my work ethic. It caused me to be even more focused, even more determined, because now I was supporting another child. I went on to have 2 more girls, so I had 3 daughters by the time I was 21. I went through a very abusive marriage, escaped that, and I brought the girls from Maine to Arizona in 1996 and built my life out here with them, and it's been a great life. A lot of ups and downs, definitely. So I did the corporate thing. I climbed the corporate ladder. And I had a moment of soul clarity when I was on a business trip in India, where I decided that I wanted more out of my life. Yeah. And I think that spot where I was at, I recognize that spot in a lot of our listeners. You know, that, okay, I'm not fulfilled. And I do believe that life is very short and we should feel fulfilled. We're here for a purpose and we need to align our gifts. So I left corporate, started my own training business, started writing courseware along with that training business. That courseware led into more books and bigger audiences, started speaking more professionally. And, you know, it's been a great but turbulent ride. So now I find myself 50, which I'm proud of the big 50. It doesn't bother me. So I think that's good. I don't know when I'm going to start getting bothered by my birthdays, but so far I'm good. I'm single. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic for me. And I think for some of our listeners as well, as, you know, especially if you are new to the dating scene, which I'm relatively new back on the dating scene, which there is no dating scene. I'm just opting out of it at this point, but
unsubscribed.
I've unsubscribed. Yeah. So that's an interesting dynamic as well to the podcast. Is okay, what is dating like nowadays? Because it's very different.
It sucks.
Essentially,
we don't recommend it. We do not endorse. Yeah,
we do not endorse dating. So in this show, there will be no, you know, Match.com as our sponsor.
Nope.
We shouldn't say that, because good dating can be good. Maybe
Yes.
we're going to find an inspirational person who will help us. I do know there was that one interview that we have
Yes.
coming up. We
That's
talk
true.
about single women who are strong, powerful, and professional.
Yes.
So that's going to be a good one
That's
to
a
tune
good
into.
one. That's a really good one.
So 50, single, loving life. I travel, love to travel. I just released my new book, Get It Done.
Get shit done.
Get shit done.
Get shit done.
If you don't like the shit word, you can just pretend that the SH is silent and then it's get it done. So whatever works for you. But I'm excited to be doing this podcast because I cannot wait to bring inspirational stories to our listeners. But number two, I get to do this with my co-host who also happens to be my daughter.
Daughter's always last. You notice that in multiple episodes. It's like co-host, business partner. Oh, and she's my daughter.
And she happens. Well, I don't want to think that nepotism is running too wildly over here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will go ahead and let me just say some things about you. And because I think sometimes you can be very humble, which is good. We all need to be humble. But my mom is a rock star, and she's been a rock star since I was born. Because you have to be a rock star to raise me.
It takes one to know one. I birthed one, so therefore I am.
But no, I think you're very goal-oriented. You put your mind to something and you accomplish it. And you have a lot to bring to our listeners. So I'm really excited to actually do this podcast with you. There isn't anybody else I'd want to do this podcast with. So I'm very, very blessed and excited. So a little bit about me. I am 30 years old, just turned 30. And I'm not scared of my age either. Maybe next year. I have a 3-year-old. I'm a single mom to a crazy, rambunctious 3-year-old Cadence. I'm sure you'll hear me, talk about her in other episodes. I did 7 years in the military. I was a CB in the United States Navy. So if you're not familiar with the CBs, it's construction. So I did.
In other words, she's a badass.
I'm a badass.
She's a badass. She is a tough badass. Okay, sorry.
And
go
then
ahead.
it's okay. And decided to get out of the military and join the corporate sector, which I did not like. It was not great for me, but I learned a lot, so that's always good. And 2017, my mom asked me to come on board, and been working with her ever since. Just recently kicked off my own speaking business.
Yes.
And I'm partnering with Goodrich Learning Solutions to get some online courses going. I'm excited and, getting a newfound appreciation for life. And I've hit some low points, and that's why, probably one of my main reasons why I'm excited about this podcast is because I'm learning a lot and I'm growing. And I believe we're always growing and we can always learn something from other people.
Definitely.
So being able to sit here and get a front row seat essentially for free to these wonderful guests that we have on our podcast, and obviously to you, I'm just really excited and thankful for it. So I think it's gonna be a really fun. We drink, swear, and laugh a lot on our podcast.
This may not be apple juice. Just saying. And shout out to my dear friend Heather who made me this cup for my 50th birthday.
Yes, it's beautiful.
So we will go ahead and give her a little shout out there. Brandy, I think you are so inspirational because of your transparency. You are who you are. You show up that way. You don't play any games. And
No.
I think when I was younger, the younger women, I will say, sometimes get caught in that very catty, very competitive type of thing, and Brandy has always shown up not as a competitor but as an ally, and I think that's been true forever. So it's not like, oh, I just realized this. I think for me it took longer. I didn't trust women. I didn't really like them, and I did see them as competition, and biologically we're kind of wired that way. But now it's like I don't know what I would do without my tribe. Like I am so blessed and so grateful for that tribe. And it's part of that tribe that's actually coming forward in this podcast. And I agree with you. I think we always have something to learn.
Yes.
I'm 50 and I still feel like, boy, I just don't know anything. Like every day I'm grabbing something new and learning something new. So I too feel very blessed that we're doing this. I feel very excited that we're doing this. Audience for this podcast, anyone who just wants some inspiration, honestly. I think to be able to connect
No
on
matter
that
where you're
human,
at, yeah.
no matter where you're at, just to be able to connect on that human level and hear the words of someone who's maybe walked the path that you're walking
Or very similar.
are similar and has been able to overcome. So, there's really no limits on this. It's just really about finding motivation and inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many of our guests have written books, and so knowing that there's resources out there, that is awesome.
Agreed. I think for me, every episode that we've recorded so far, there's something that has hit me almost smack in the face of, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I think of that, or why am I not doing that? It's such good information, and I am confident to say that it will happen to everybody that listens, is that you will get that slap in the face Monday morning.
In a nice way.
In a nice way. We're not violent. In a nice way. But being able to start your Monday off and say, okay, I'm going to listen to this for an hour, get my cup filled, and be good, and that will last through the week. And then Monday morning, when your cup's running low,
We're gonna
there you go.
We're gonna refill it with wine, beer, coffee, whatever your drink of choice is. We don't judge.
No,
Whatever you like.
But if Kona wants to sponsor,
Shout out to Kona.
yes,
Just in case. Kendall Jackson Chardonnay.
yep,
Just saying.
no big deal.
No big deal. We are happy to introduce See How I Did That to you all. We look forward to your love, your support, and your feedback. And
Absolutely.
if you know anyone who would make a fantastic guest, please reach out to us at seehowididthat.com, and we would be happy to talk with them, because we're all about empowering amazing women. So let us know if there's somebody out there who has a story that you think needs to be shared. All right. Well, I think that's a pretty damn good intro.
I agree.
Should we get on with the show?
Let's get on with the show.